in the 16th century when Tulsidas wrote the Ramcharitmanas, that for the first time it came into the language of the people. Up to then it was Sanskrit, so only a few priests knew about the Ram story. And if you look at, there are no Ram temples anywhere in the country pre-16th century. Very, very few. These were rare because, there were all kinds of other temples. But Ram temples, you show me examples of Ram temples before. It's only after Tulsidas that Ram became a popular god. And yet, even that Ram was not a warrior Ram. He was a peaceful Ram. They have not learned the lesson. Whether we're talking about Congress or whether they're talking about the left, we're talking about Mamata Banerjee, nobody is taking cultural issues to fight back. Now we can cry about Modi 2014 onwards, right? But what happened in that whole period from 1990 to 2014? It was the surrender of the secular forces that allowed this communal monster to grow. So I'm just curious, how many of you already seen Ram Ki Ram? Yeah. So what we're doing today is, no, we're yeah, yeah, booster dose, yeah. So anyway, I guess tell I I should tell you this only for those who want to show the film in future. Yeah, I'm saying that because even in the last few days, there have been so many attacks on those who were trying to show the film. I realized that one mistake that I made, that when I put it out free on YouTube, I didn't put out the censor certificate that should be there right at the beginning. Uh, so I'm going to go back and put the censor certificate on the film so that people, all these arrests that have taken place in the last few days, and it's happened many times, are illegal arrests because the film is legally allowed to be shown. They cannot stop it if you actually, apply the rule of law, which is not done in our country, of course. So I just wanted to tell you this, that the film was made actually in 1991. It was complete. That was the first attack on the Babri Mosque, which happened in October 1990. And in 91, the film was complete. We even got a censor certificate, I think in 1992. And then I think it was in 1993, no, in 92, I put an epilogue because by then the Babri Mosque was demolished on 6th of December. So there's an epilogue in the film. And then I had to put another epilogue because a few months later, Pujari Lal Das, who is the protagonist in the film, the Hindu priest of the Ram temple, was murdered. So the film now had to have this epilogue also incorporated. But after the fact that we got a censor certificate, it won a national award because in those days the juries that the government of the day picked were not totally hand-picked. In fact, they were independent juries. So you did find over the years many national awards to films that were critical of the government. It won a national award for Best Investigative Documentary. And then Doordarshan refused to show it. But by this time, we'd already established the practice that whenever a film won a national award, I would take it to Doordarshan. If they refused it, then we would take them to court, saying, how can you give it a national award and not show it for the public? So in 1996, I think, we won the court case. The court ordered Doordarshan to telecast the film. I think it was shown in 97 at prime time, because this time in the previous cases we had one judgment from the court saying you have to show the film, but the Doordarshan showed it at 11 o'clock at night or something like that. So this time the judge actually put it in writing that it should be shown at prime time. So it was shown at 9 p.m. on Doordarshan in those days, it was still the time when people didn't watch other channels. There were not many other channels. So Doordarshan was reaching to everyone in the country, or a huge population. And from over the years, I meet some people who say that we saw it that day on TV. And there have been cases where car sevaks who actually went to do the demolition watched Ram Ke Naam years later and tracked me down and wrote and said that we made a mistake. This was something that we did something wrong. So anyway, so this film has been shown on Doordarshan, etc., and all these facts are not necessarily known to everyone. That's why when they get arrested or taken to court, they don't know what to say. So that's why I just put this out as an introduction that you shouldn't be afraid to at least show this film. Several of my films after that have not got censor certificate because after the Modi regime came to power, it's very difficult now to expect that a censor board will clear your film. So anyway, that's all I'll say for the timing. Everyone has already watched the film, so if you have further questions later, we'll take them.
I had the opportunity to see his first film, where Stan Swami, I was in Bangalore and he organized The Prisoner of Conscience in 1980-81. So from that days till now, I'm privileged to be at the time when Anand is there. Before Anand, I asked you on the subject and the film. There are many here who are making films. And few are from Institute, SRFTI, FTN. Others are from, including Kasturi and Devapan, and you saw their bid for Bengal. So they all want to know, you have started from Super 8 and then 16 millimeter, and then you went to DV, and then SD. Tell a little bit of, how you felt with those medium and how they can think,
Actually, it doesn't make a big difference to me because it's all audio-visual. Its basic principles are the same. The difference between celluloid and what came later, video, is basically that when we were shooting on film, it was so expensive that we had to really think out what we were. This film was shot on film, by the way, as you can imagine, 1990, but there was no video of this easy access video. So film was expensive. It took a process. You had to make a negative. After the negative, you had to make a positive. You have separate sound. You needed the magnetic tracks for that, which were in short supply. So it was always beg, borrow, and steal, and manage somehow to make the film. And we had to be quite disciplined while filming. When the video and digital age came, the discipline went away, but we had lots of footage. So then we spent many, many more hours editing than we used to before because we had too much footage to look at.
Another thing that many friends want to understand is that how do you think of a film? Do you think of a film and it is in your mind and then you go with a film, or you do have something in your heart and mind and then you go for shooting and a film develops after a certain point of time?
So, let's be concrete and talk about this film, for instance. Actually, from the mid-80s, I was making films on shooting wherever there was communal violence. I understood that the real, up to that point I was making films about working class issues, political prisoners who were fighting for the rights of the working class, and things like that. So in the mid-80s, I realized that the biggest problem that this country is facing is the rise of fundamentalism, the rise of religious hatred and identity stuff. So I was filming all over the country at different moments. In Rajasthan, soon after the Sati happened in 1987. I filmed in Punjab in the period when the Khalistan movement. And so I had this huge amount of footage. It was, I don't know, yeah, it was all over the place. So eventually, 3 films came out of the same period of footage, which was I'm talking about from mid 1980s to mid 1990s.
Mitra Di Yaad Mein.
Yeah, so the Punjab film, Una Mitra Di Yaad Pyari, Ram Ke Naam, and then Father, Son and Holy War. So, but in each of these films, I tried to look at the material with a different lens. In Una Mitra Di Yaad Pyari, because it was following the work of Bhagat Singh, we were talking about class issues, and how as Bhagat Singh had written that class unity will defeat communal virus. So that was the theme of that, the lens. But by Ram Ke Naam time, I had already felt that the purely seeing the left as the only religious upsurge was not enough. And so then I was made conscious of the caste issue, because as I traveled through UP, etc., and I realized that the people who were talking sense and the people that I agreed with were not the upper caste, and the people who were really pushing the agenda of Ram Temple, etc., were upper caste people. So that's why in those days, actually, many people criticized me for this film, because they said, why are you asking people their caste?
That you
And
continued in your...
I was asking, I don't ask them their caste at the beginning of the interview, usually at the end of the interview. So just so that the audience realizes that where the sense is coming from.
That's how you continued making Jai Bhim Comrade. Which
Much
was
later,
more,
much later, yeah.
And
then in Father, Son and Holy War, I was looking at gender issues and masculinity.
Anand, please tell us, many of us and we had made film and we wanted our positive political friends and others to show it. So from the time of Ram Ke Naam, I know how we had showed. Tell us about how our films and work are, whether they are used by the positive political people in the past, or are they are using it, or what is happening today is because it was... I tell you that you had told once that 1990 this Ram Ke Naam is there. If that was shown that time, 1992 may not have happened. And if that would have gone up till now, many things wouldn't have happened. So I want to tell you about how our political people used film of your and many of us, our film.
What we are doing here it's great that we're doing it, and there's people here, there's an audience, and there is an audience all over the country. But if you had the government in your hand, if you control the mass media and you didn't show films like this on the mass media on your own, it meant that you had no concern for what's written in our constitution. There were secular parties in power for a long period between 1990 and today. BJP has come to power, the and the earlier avatar, but for all this time there was Congress, there was Janata Dal, there was all kinds of governments, and they so it's telling that we had to go to court, and that took many years of battle, and then finally it got shown on Doordarshan. But even showing once on Doordarshan is not enough. I mean, you're not going to change the psyche of the country with one. When Ramayana was broadcast before the Babri Masjid was attacked the first time, they were already showing Ramayana on TV every week. The whole country would come to a stop while everybody watched Ramayana on Doordarshan. And that Ramayana actually spread this message. There were two great spreaders. The first time was Tulsidas. It is in the 16th century when Tulsidas wrote the Ramcharitmanas that for the first time it came into the language of the people. Up to then it was Sanskrit, so only a few priests knew about the Ram story. And if you look at, there are no Ram temples anywhere in the country pre-16th century. Very, very few. It was rare because, there were all kinds of other temples. But Ram temples, you show me examples of Ram temples before. It's only after Tulsidas that Ram became a popular god. And yet, even that Ram was not a warrior Ram. He was a peaceful Ram. Even the Ram Lala
Yes,
baby and then all of these are like kind of peaceful looking Ram.
It was Siya Ram.
Siya Ram. And then they converted Ram into a warrior. So that image of...
Before I go to the audience,
And this
last
was
question.
done through government agencies, long before the BJP came to power.
Anand, before I ask the audience to say last question from my side. Now you have stayed with this subject for last 30, 32 years. Now, 30, 35 years. Now, how do you see that? What are you feeling and what are the tasks ahead for alternative people like us? That will be my...
I have said this before, but I've been proven wrong, is that I think the law of diminishing returns is going to set in. And I think that after 22nd of January, I'm hoping that it can only go downhill for the right wing. Because, what more can they do about Ram? So I think that people are going to get fed up with this imagery. People are going to get fed up with these stories being told. And as long as there are counter stories, as long as we don't stop telling the counter stories, I think there is hope.
I will now open it to friends. If anyone want to ask question from within, from here, I will ask.
You were talking about secular parties being in the government and how they used or did not use mass media. I was thinking, every year when 15th August used to come and we were then in school or maybe in college, they used to show this film Roja on television. So they were very political in the way they were using mass media. They wanted to show Roja on television every 15th August because they had their agenda. Yeah. I wish they had shown something else, but we can only wish strange things from strange people. They didn't have this on their agenda, let us face it.
And by Rosa, you don't mean Rosa Luxemburg.
No, of course not. Yeah, of course. Yeah. So I don't know how much we can hope from our so-called secular friends. They have never really had a concern about what they were doing about this communal poison. I wanted to make this comment because you spoke so much about television and its impact. Roja did have a lot of impact on a lot of people on how they were viewing Kashmir, and they never showed things like Ram Ke Naam.
And by the way, they still don't. They have not learned the lesson. Whether we're talking about Congress or whether they're talking about the left, we're talking about Mamata Banerjee, nobody is taking cultural issues to fight back. There's no attempt.
Yeah. That was I was asking. This is the tragedy that we have been, whoever, there are many in the hall also, we have been making films, but neither the left, neither the other political parties, they have made use of it. The way the fascist parties are using the symbolism and media. Where are my friends? We as a filmmaker do something for when you ask. And the more you will use our thing, we will get more courage to do for tomorrow. But that is not taking shape. And that is one of the pain that many of us have when none of us. I am very happy that you all are doing it, and you all are just a drop in the ocean, but that drop is a golden drop and that drop is a diamond drop, I will say. Others, if they would have used, it would have been a very different story. Friends, if there is any.
Hello. So my question is not necessarily to you as a filmmaker, but maybe to this audience as a whole. So I have a person working with us, and who, after January 22nd, he has somehow come out of the closet. He has changed his profile picture to Ram Lala, and he stays at home. He teaches our 9-year-old son to chant Jai Shri Ram. What can I do about it, and what can I tell him without getting into the knee-jerk reaction?
So he's changed his picture to the baby Ram
Yeah,
Lala.
his profile picture.
At least
So-
that's slightly better than if he had changed it to the warrior Ram. But
मेरा प्रश्न परिप्रेक्ष्य रूप से आपके फिल्म राम के नाम को लेकर नहीं है, पर जो राम को लेकर जो पॉलिटिक्स है भारत में जो अभी देखने को मिलता है, क्या आपको लगता है एक और फिल्म है डॉक्यूमेंट्री फिल्म शबनम वीरमनी की हद अनहद, उसको भी उसी तरीके से, मतलब जिस तरीके से राम के नाम को बहुत ज़्यादा तरीके से दिखाया जाने लगा है अभी, उस तरीके से दिखाना चाहिए, क्योंकि राम को लेकर जो पॉलिटिक्स है और उसको लेकर बहुत सारे लोगों का घर भी तोड़ा जा रहा है अभी, तो उस तरह की फिल्में दिखाकर हम एजुकेट कर पाते हैं कि राम असल में क्या है। क्या आपको लगता है वो फिल्म बहुत ज़रूरी है आपके फिल्म की तरह?
जी हाँ, बिल्कुल। शबनम की बहुत सारी कबीर वाली फिल्में बहुत ही बढ़िया फिल्में हैं और दिखानी जानी चाहिए। मेरे ख्याल से काफ़ी दिखाई जा चुकी है, मगर और भी दिखानी चाहिए उनको।
One thing which seems to have decisively changed in whatever these 30 years is that जो सारे लोग आपकी फिल्म में marginalized caste की ambivalence दिखा रहे हैं या even criticize कर रहे हैं, अभी ये वाले जो 22nd वाली जनवरी में marginalized caste से भी, obviously not to the extent that the upper castes have celebrated it, but there has been some celebration.
Yeah.
And I was just, if you had any thoughts that what has shifted?
Yes, there is definitely a change from 1990 and today. I mean, I don't think that if I was to go to Ayodhya and Faizabad and the surrounding villages, we would get people, even though they might think it, but they would be scared to say that, you know, we live in harmony and that the Hindus and Muslims are together. That feeling that was very palpable in 1990, I think that the communal virus, they have managed to push it further down the social ladder, in the sense that it's not restricted to upper castes. They have certainly made huge inroads, especially amongst OBCs. In UP, I think the power of even Mayawati is drastically reduced, and even the Yadavs and all the people who were in those days part of the secular forces are no longer reliable in the fight against communal virus.
I tell you that in Jharkhand I have seen the Hanuman Chalisa in Mundari language, 50,000 book has been published in Mundari language. And the Santhali language, the translation, you can understand who has done, our great president.
No, it's huge patronage and huge. I mean, they're spreading. I mean, if you look at Gita Press, I somebody has made a film on Gita Press, I think. I'm not sure, but it really is begging to be made. But you look at the kind of stuff that is coming out of it. This is Gorakhpur se aata hai. And that kind of rabid stuff which is passed as normalizing religion, normalizing Hinduism, of that variety.
I think that there is no proper understanding of the media's role. Media, everybody is criticizing media, but you know how the media surrendered, the newspaper owners surrendered to Narendra Modi because of the demonetization and to lockdown. They are broke, and they went to Narendra Modi to save the newspapers or media, other media, because they don't have enough enough advertisement.
They have a lot of Narendra Modi advertisement. Every day in the front page is Narendra Modi.
No. They asked Narendra Modi
Yeah.
to advertise more in the newspaper
Yeah.
and change and raise the rate of the advertisement. Generally, this is not known.
No,
Huh.
No, but what I'm saying is that what we are talking about something 30 years ago, 32 years ago, no Modi in sight at that time. We're talking about when secular governments were in power.
What
At the secular governments were in power in the so-called secular governments were in power in the center. Left parties had 2 states that they ruled for a long time. None of these people took culture seriously to use it as a weapon to use it so that they spread critical thinking amongst masses. They didn't do it. Now we can cry about Modi till 2014 onwards, right? But what happened in that whole period from 1990 to 2014? It was the surrender of the secular forces that allowed this communal monster to grow.
Maybe Niranjan ji is what he is telling, that today how the...
No, you're absolutely right. Today, what is happening to the media, no, it's not just advertising and all that. It is also coercion. Anybody steps out of line, they'll put an ED case on them.
Anyone?
Sir,
our
I have a question.
Yeah.
On this 22nd January, we have observed several protest rallies in our streets in Kolkata. But in spite of that, the next day when our maid came to our house, she just asked one question that she was talking about the BJP and RSS, and she was asking that they were doing no harm to anyone. They are just building one temple. So why these protest rallies are there? What has been, my question is that the propaganda is much larger, we were seeing. Last year, one Kashmir Files and Kerala Story, those movies are there. Few days back, I watched a teaser called Article 370 film is coming. So they are having so much propaganda.
And you're going to get Kangana Ranaut as Indira Gandhi very soon.
Yes.
Yeah.
So my question is, in this tough situation, how to combat? Because we are still miles away to reach the common people, to the mass. The mass awareness is not enough, I believe.
What is not enough?
The mass awareness.
Oh, absolutely not. But
So how to combat?
No, I think, look, we can do what we can do. We shouldn't stop doing what we do because the task is so enormous that, you feel defeated by the thought of it. Because if you look at it in a larger picture, fascism has not survived more than, how many years did Hitler last? How many years did Mussolini last? I mean, of course, it took a world war to get rid of them. I'm not hoping for a world war right now, but the point is that there is no long-term fascism is also unlikely. So I think that it's a matter of time when the whole spectrum shifts again.
हेलो नमस्कार सर, मैं सौम्यदीप हलदर बोल रहा हूँ खड़गपुर पश्चिम बंगाल से। तो मेरा पहला पड़ाव है कि 22 जनवरी से जो राम जन्मभूमि जो हुआ था, तो उसके पहले बहुत स्टूडेंट या फिर पॉलिटिकल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन आपके जो सिनेमा राम के नाम के थ्रू से बहुत यूनिवर्सिटीज़ या फिर कुछ जगह पे स्क्रीनिंग दिखा रहे थे। पर फिर भी कुछ राज्य जैसे केरला जहाँ पे एलडीएफ बिलोंग करते हैं और तेलंगाना जहाँ पे एटलीस्ट कांग्रेस बिलोंग करते हैं, फिर भी वहाँ पे स्क्रीनिंग करने के बाद भी अरेस्ट हो रहा है। मतलब क्यों? मतलब सिर्फ बीजेपी को या फिर एंटी फैसिस्ट को मतलब करने के लिए ऐसे फिर भी अरेस्ट कर रहे, मतलब या फिर कुर्सी पे के लिए सब लोग ऐसे कर रहे हैं। मेरा पहला पड़ाव। और
मैं एक पूछिए क्योंकि मैं भूल जाऊंगा।
हाँ, ठीक
तो
है सर।
इसका जवाब मैं देना चाहता हूँ कि सरकार बदलने से पूरा एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन नहीं बदलता, और आरएसएस ने बहुत पहले से एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन में घुसपैठ की है, हर जगह पे घुसपैठ की है। यानी पूरा पुलिस फोर्स, पूरा यहाँ पे, या चाहे वो लेफ्ट हो चाहे वो कांग्रेस हो, मगर जो मशीनरी है, आपने फिल्म में भी देखा, राम के नाम में भी देखा, जो उन दिनों में मुलायम सिंह चीफ मिनिस्टर थे, उन्होंने डिक्लेयर किया था कि परिंदा पार नहीं होगा। अयोध्या इतना फोर्ट्रेस बना दिया था, हम लोगों को वहाँ पहुँचने में बहुत दिक्कत हुई। बहुत जर्नलिस्ट जो जाना चाहते थे अयोध्या, हमको बहुत लड़ना पड़ा, आखिर हम पहुँच गए। मगर फिर देखा, उन्होंने कहा था कि कोई नहीं आ सकता है, बाबरी मस्जिद इज़ फुल्ली प्रोटेक्टेड। मगर हमने देखा कि कार सेवक पहुँच गए, बहुत दूर दूर से आए। तो ये क्योंकि एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन की मिली भगत थी। आपने इंटरव्यू भी देखा, अटैक होने के बाद भी पुलिस वाले वो धन्यवाद दे रहे थे पुलिस को, एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन को। तो एक सेक्शन ने रोकने की कोशिश की तो कुछ गोलियां चली और कुछ कार सेवक मारे गए, मगर जो दूसरा सेक्शन था वो इनके साथ था। सो इवन लेफ्ट वांट्स टू, बट द एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन इज नॉट नेसेसरली अंडर कंट्रोल। Or Congress, same thing in Telangana. So so it would be easy to say, look, these are Congress Raj and this is left government, then how did they allow it? It's a deeper problem, is that just having desire for secularism will not make it work. They have to work hard to make the system better than what it is.
और मेरा दूसरा पड़ाव है कि हम लोग विश्वास करते हैं कि जो हम लोग जो विज्ञान से जो पढ़ते हैं उसके हिसाब से जो धर्म का जो अंधविश्वास जो चलता है, ठीक है, उसके विरुद्ध से तो हम बोलते हैं। पर फिर भी मैं देख रहा हूँ, एक्चुअली हम पश्चिम बंगाल से बोल रहे हैं, क्योंकि आईआईटी खड़गपुर हो या फिर आईआईएसटी शिवपुर या फिर कोई केंद्रीय या फिर राज्य का कोई विश्वविद्यालय या फिर कॉलेज का, वहाँ पे इतने बड़े तरीके से राम जन्मभूमि का मतलब पालन कर रहे हैं। मतलब यहाँ पे मतलब आर्ट्स का कॉलेज में कोई मतलब ऐसा प्रभाव नहीं फैल रहा अभी तक, मतलब इफ़ आई एम नॉट रॉन्ग। मतलब क्यों, मतलब ये एक्चुअली उल्टा होना चाहिए था।
बिल्कुल, और इसलिए मैंने तो एक्चुअली मैं चाहता था कि जहाँ पे सेक्युलर फोर्सेस है वहाँ पे ऐसी फिल्मों को ज़्यादा दिखाना चाहिए। तो हमने मेहनत करके बंगाली वर्जन भी बनाया राम के नाम का। बंगाली तो आप सिर्फ एलीट तक नहीं पहुंचोगे, यू कैन गो एंड शो इट इन अदर प्लेसेस। सो देयर इज अ बंगाली वर्जन विच कोंकणा हैज डन द कमेंट्री, आई मीन नरेशन, एंड इट हैज Bengali subtitles. So, from these things are tools that we can use, but unfortunately they're not being used the way they should be.
धन्यवाद सर।
I think we will try to come to an end. Friends, my teacher used to tell me, Meghnad, we have to understand we are a very small minority and we are going against the wave. To go with the wave is easy, but going against the wave is a challenge. But then he used to say, Meghnad, you have to understand, we have to prove our existence positively. And Anand, what in your life and in the body of work, what you have proved, your existence positively, many of us in the down and many others will try to take a lesson from that. Thank you for getting.
Thank you so much. And thank you for the festival. I mean, this is an example of what can be done.